Greetings, friends. Welcome. We're so glad you're here for another episode of Let's Talk Travel. Tonight, I want to address one of life's most pressing questions: to cruise or not to cruise during hurricane season. This is actually one of the most frequent concerns we address when dealing with people's inquiries about sailing in the Caribbean. And hopefully, this evening, I will be able to shed a little light and maybe give you a little guidance as to whether cruising during hurricane season is a good idea, a bad idea. Is it good for you or not? We'll explore and we'll let you draw your own conclusions. Uh, Probably the majority of people I talk with about this issue are relatively uninformed or misinformed, and most actually tend to believe that there is a high probability that any cruise they book during the hurricane season, the traditional hurricane season, is likely to be affected by a bad storm. Now, first of all, hurricane season runs, for those of you who don't know, it is traditionally runs 1st of June through the end of November. So a solid 6 months, half of the year is dedicated and named as hurricane season. Now, hurricanes actually can occur any time of the year, but as a practical matter, 97% of those storms actually do occur during that season from early June through the end of November. And tonight, I just wanted to get some of the facts out for you so you can kind of be a little better informed, come to your own conclusions about whether sailing is a good or bad idea. We want our clients, to make an informed and thought out, well considered decision, and not just based your planning on whether somebody has told you that something that is not true. Now, hurricanes, actually, the height of the season, as I said, we're talking about the 1st of June through the end of November. The most active part of the season tends to run from mid-August through the end of September, first week or so of October. Statistically speaking, 25% of hurricanes actually occur in August, and 45% of these storms happen in September. So August and September, by far the more active months of the year. And as I said, so many people believe that if they book a cruise vacation during anytime during hurricane season, in all likelihood, their particular cruise is going to be high chance that it will be affected in some manner by a storm. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth, as statistically speaking, any cruise that you book in the Caribbean during storm season, only a very small percentage of those departures are ever affected in any manner whatsoever by the storms. A few, I don't even know when a storm, when a cruise ship has been caught in a hurricane. They have meteorologists on staff. They plan far in advance. They track those storms each minute. They're on top of where those storms are, what they're doing, where they're headed, and what they're doing. So they're not going to sail into a storm. That is fallacy. It's not going to happen. Rarely does a storm hit a cruise port full on and cause cruises to be canceled in their entirety. I believe in the 15 plus years that I have been doing this, we have had one time that a hurricane, I think it was Helen was the name of it, hit head on in a cruise port that was in Charleston some years ago. And we did have some clients who had a cruise canceled. A departure was canceled due to that storm. Typically, what happens, your cruise ships are going to rearrange their itineraries. They're going to stay ahead of, they're going to run from, and stay well away from any place where those storms are. Now, that's not to say they're going to go around, they're going to go away from, they're not going to at any point head in and confront a storm head on in a cruise ship. It's just not going to happen. And I have also a great many people who seem to believe that at all times during the summer season, that the summertime, during the storm season, that the Caribbean is very rough and the water is unsettled. Actually, folks, nothing could be further from the truth of that matter. I frequently sail myself. Almost every year, we sail at least one time during hurricane season, and we have encountered some of the calmest seas that I have ever seen. I believe both, one time was the month of August, one time was early October, but the seas were absolutely almost without any waves. They were just calm. It was like sailing across a mirror. It was amazing, and it was an experience that was actually, it was memorable. It was just one of those unusual, incredible experiences where you're sailing on these calm seas. It was beautiful, just like going across a mirror. It was truly amazing. And the reason for that frequently is that during the summertime, you have these high pressure systems that move in and just hang around in the Caribbean, and higher humidity. And the combination of that heat and humidity and the high pressure just has a calming effect on the sea. So if a storm isn't in the vicinity, the seas can be extremely calm, and it makes for an incredible cruising experience. As I said, you look at, and it is just beyond amazing when you see these mirror-like flat seas. It's just very unusual. I loved it when it's happened, and we've enjoyed it very much on our sailings during that time. So, comes down to now, should you plan to cruise during hurricane season? And to me, the right answer to that question is it depends. We just can't answer that question with a definitive yes or no, because there's so much variation in people and your risk tolerance. Some people just can't bear the thought of being out there on the water at any time when a hurricane could be somewhere, within 1,000 miles of them. It's just more risk than they can tolerate. And some people are just, let's just say, if you have reasons not to sail, let's look at that. Just reasons not to book a cruise during hurricane season. There are some very valid reasons why some people should not book a cruise during hurricane season. It's just not for everyone. If you are an anxious sort of person, you have a lot of anxiety, you worry a lot. What if you are that person? It's part of your personality. God made you that way. It's who you are. That's fine. But probably for you, if you have that kind of anxiety, and you know who you are, if you deal with that on a daily basis, probably a cruise during hurricane season is not the best choice for you. You are going to be worrying, and we do not want worried, anxious clients. We want you to be happy and carefree. So if you feel uneasy just at the thought of being out on the Caribbean Sea while a hurricane could be forming over off the coast of Africa, book your cruise during other seasons. We can happily book you for wave season during January through March is another good time to sail. But if you are a person with anxiety, just don't book your cruise because it's going to be an issue for you, and we don't want you to have issues. Book your cruise during a more settled time of year. Another reason not to book a particular cruise during hurricane season: if a particular port of call is high on your list of must-dos, if you are going because Turks and Caicos has been on your bucket list, and the entire reason for your cruise is because you want to get to that port of Turks and Caicos, that's really the only reason you're booking this cruise. Or maybe it's Jamaica. Maybe your family hails from the Ocho Rios area and you want to hook up with a bunch of cousins and spend that day in port visiting with family. And the whole reason you're booking that cruise is to connect with family in Ocho Rios during your cruise. If you must, for any reason, you must visit a certain port of call during your cruise, and that's going to, if you don't get there, that's going to ruin your experience. Then I suggest that you book your cruise for another time of year. Should there be weather issues, any kind of issues, keep in mind that cruise lines and ship captains have the prerogative to change or miss a port at any time. It's in your cruise contract, folks. It's in every single cruise line is going to have small print where they have the right to miss ports and change itineraries. It's part of their right. They are going to keep you safe, and it's part of what they do to keep you safe. They don't want to miss a port of call that people have been looking forward to. Trust me, they don't want to create issues and dissatisfaction. But it could be for many reasons that a ship needs to miss a port of call. Most frequently, you're going to say it's weather. Now, it could be fog, it could be high winds, it could be a hurricane or other tropical storm. Whatever the reason, weather is a frequent cause for a missed port. We've had it happen to us on more than one occasion when it simply was not safe for the captain to pull the ship in to a particular port of call. And it just sometimes happens in hurricane season, out of hurricane season. There's always a chance. Other issues that could arise that would cause a ship's captain, perhaps there's some sort of labor unrest. There's a strike going on that affects the dock workers at a particular cruise port. There is some kind of social issue and unrest going on in the country. Sometimes those things happen very quickly and without warning. So if there is any kind of political upheaval or anything like that going on, regardless of the time of year, it could happen that you miss a port of call. And if you look at the small print in your cruise contract, it's going to be in every single one that no refunds or reimbursements are due if you have to miss a port for any reason, that the captain, he's the master of the ship, anything that he deems necessary, or his bosses back at the cruise line advise him not to go there. You have no recourse should they need to miss that port of call. However, it's a little more likely during cruising. A lot of times, if you have a particular itinerary booked and there is a storm headed for the Western Caribbean, you might end up doing a completely different itinerary out on the Eastern Caribbean rather than a Western Caribbean. You might be going to San Juan and St. Thomas instead of Jamaica and Cozumel. It happens, folks. The cruise lines are going to keep you safe. So if you're just absolutely stuck on a particular itinerary, book it at a different season. Thirdly, if you have limited time available, and an extra day or two at sea could absolutely create a catastrophe for you. You absolutely have to be back at work for a particular time. Your new boss is starting and you have to be there for that reception. Or if you've been out and a major storm system sneaks in, you've been out in the Western Caribbean and something has come in from the Eastern Caribbean and it's hitting the port of Miami and the ship cannot safely dock that day, they may have to stay at sea an extra day or two. Your ship could, I mean, things like this do happen during storm season. If something like that could create an insurmountable issue for you, that creates just something that can't be dealt with, better to book your cruise at a different time of year when the likelihood of something like that happening is much less. It's a very small chance anyway, but truly, folks, if something like that would create a true catastrophe for you, maybe a hurricane season cruise is not the best decision for you to make on this particular year. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there are just as many or possibly even more reasons why you might want to book a cruise and consider doing that during the hurricane season. And a couple of my favorite reasons to get aboard during hurricane season, as I've mentioned, we do this frequently. And one of those that we do this is we love to take advantage of the great fares that are frequently available when you sail during late August, September, and into early October. Frequently, those are some of the best fares of the year because demand is down a little bit. The people who are concerned about hurricane season aren't sailing, so the ships aren't booking quite as well, and you can frequently grab a great fare and save 20, 30% or more off of what you might pay if you were to sail, say, in January or February. So a great time to really score a good deal on that. If you have a good measure of risk tolerance, you are able to just kind of roll with the punches. If something should go a little bit awry with your cruise, you can really take advantage of great fares during that time. And if you're good with rolling with the punches and if flexibility is one of your strong suits, you just don't sweat the small stuff, don't get upset when things don't quite go according to plan, missing a scheduled port or a planned activity or excursion or whatever the situation is isn't going to put you into a tailspin, then by all means, we would encourage you to consider booking that cruise during hurricane season. It could be a great choice for you if you have that flexibility and that willingness to just roll with the punches a little bit. So if there are a few, if you think it sounds like me. I like to get savings, and I'm pretty flexible. That sounds a bit like me. So you think you might want to consider possibly booking a cruise for hurricane season. We're happy to help with that, by the way. We're here, and there's still space available on many sailings yet here in 2023. Even at that, if you're going to book a cruise during hurricane season, there are a few steps that you could take to help mitigate your risks and lessen the chances of something untoward happening during that hurricane season cruise. First, you might consider doing an early season or late season sailing. Instead of sailing in September or October, why not consider a June or November sailing? Historically, there are far fewer storms that happen during that early June or into November. By the latter part of November, the storms are again very rare. So great if you want to take advantage of some lower fares. Now, I will say that the June, July sailings the rates aren't quite as good because you have the families and people that can only vacation during the summertime. So those June and July sailings, you're not going to quite score the deals. November sailings, however, late October and into November can catch some great deals there if you want to do a later in the season hurricane booking. That could be a very good option for you. Always, this is tip number 2, always and always insure your trip. Make sure that the insurance that you purchase covers for weather-related conditions in major weather events that might affect your cruise. Want to make sure that your insurance covers those. Insurance, in our opinion, folks, it's all but mandatory these days. We do not want our clients ever to cruise or take a land vacation outside of the U.S. that they don't insure their trip. It just is good practice these days. It's what people need to do to just be responsible in your travels. Certainly, you want to have insurance in place if you're going to sail during hurricane season, and make sure that there's coverage there for major weather events. Or tip number 3, consider booking your cruise for destinations that aren't so affected by hurricanes. I'm thinking particularly of the far south Caribbean, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Those are the ABC islands. If you book a cruise, a lot of them sail out of San Juan, but longer cruises, 10 or 11 days out of Fort Lauderdale and Miami, also go to those destinations. They are so far south that they are very, very rarely affected by hurricanes. So great destinations there if you want to mitigate your chances of weather impacting your hurricane season cruise. You might choose a far south, deep southern Caribbean cruise to mitigate the chances of your being affected by a storm. Great, by the way, great destination, beautiful exotic ports of call there, and we highly recommend those destinations if you want to sail to the Caribbean in hurricane season. Now, as you live listeners know, we always have a little something for our guests who are listening live. Every week we have a drawing, and this week I'm going to give away one of our live listeners only, is going to get. I gave some away last week. We're going to do this again this week. Have some more of these charming wine charms. These are travel related for your wine glass, to make sure that you don't mix your glass up with someone else's. They all look alike, we know. But these wonderful wine charms, if you are listening, live listeners only, if you will put in your comments section, you see the comments section here. I want you to enter this evening hurricane season in the comments section right now, and one of our live listeners is going to win these adorable, useful, practical wine charms to keep from mixing your wine with someone else's at the next cocktail party that you attend. Folks, thank you so much. We appreciate our listeners so much. I hope this has been useful information, and that you maybe have learned a little bit of something about the hurricane season and the realities instead of the myths. This is Pat saying goodbye to you for another week from Dancing Moon Travel. Hope you have a great week. Hope to hear from you soon. We're happy to help with any of your travel plans. Contact us soon. Thanks, everybody. Travel well, travel often. Bye now.